The woman in white opened a sealed envelope during communion, standing in the sacred silence while the rest of us knelt with our eyes closed. I heard the paper tear, soft but sharp, like it didn't belong in God's house. And before I even saw what was inside, I felt it in my chest. Whatever she'd brought to that altar was tied to my marriage, my name, and the life I'd built in this church. She shouldn't have been there. Not in the mother's section. Not wearing white on a Sunday that wasn't Women's Day or Nurses Guild Sunday, and definitely not holding an envelope that had been sealed with red wax and placed on the altar table for the pastor's eyes only. But there she was, and the envelope was open. If what I suspected was true, I would lose more than my marriage. I would lose my position as First Lady of Cornerstone Community Church. I would lose the respect I'd spent 15 years building. I would lose the life I thought I knew. By the end of this service, I would know exactly who my husband had been when he thought no one was watching, and the woman in white would be the one to show me. My name is Minister Diane Crawford. I'm 52 years old, and I've been First Lady at Cornerstone Community Church for 15 years, the same 15 years I've been married to Pastor Vincent Crawford. We're a small but faithful congregation, about 250 members strong, located in a modest brick building that my husband's grandfather helped build back in the 70s. Being First Lady isn't just a title, it's a calling. I lead the Women's Missionary Society. I organize the food pantry. I counsel young wives. I sit in the front pew every Sunday, my Bible open, my face serene, modeling what a godly wife should be. I know every family in that church, every testimony, every struggle, every secret, or so I thought. That Sunday started like any other first Sunday of the month, Communion Sunday. I'd arrived early to make sure the communion table was set properly, the white linen cloth perfectly pressed, the silver trays polished until they gleamed. The bread had been blessed and broken into small pieces. The grape juice had been poured into the tiny cups arranged in perfect rows. Everything was in order. Everything except the sealed envelope. It was sitting on the altar table when I came in, placed carefully next to the communion elements. A cream-colored envelope, about the size of a greeting card, sealed with red wax, pressed with some kind of insignia I couldn't make out from where I stood. Written across the front in elegant cursive, Pastor Vincent Crawford, private and confidential. I assumed it was from one of the deacons. Sometimes they'd leave sealed correspondence for Vincent about church business that needed to be handled delicately, financial matters, membership issues, discipline cases. Nothing unusual, nothing alarming. I didn't touch it. It wasn't addressed to me. The sanctuary began to fill. Sister Morrison at the piano, running through the communion hymns. The ushers in their white gloves and corsages, taking their positions. The deacons in their dark suits, preparing to serve. The choir members filing into the loft, their burgundy robes rustling. Vincent came in through the side door, already dressed in his ministerial robe, black with purple trim and a gold cross embroidered on the left shoulder. He looked distinguished, commanding, exactly how a pastor should look. He kissed my cheek briefly. "Morning, baby. You look beautiful." I was wearing a royal blue suit with a matching hat, appropriate for First Lady, dignified but not showy. "Morning. Did you see the envelope on the altar table?" He glanced over. "Yeah, I saw it. I'll read it after service." "You don't know who it's from?" "Could be from anybody. You know how people are. They don't want to bother me before service, so they leave notes." He smiled. "Probably someone asking me to pray for their cousin's nephew's dog." I smiled back, but something felt off. The envelope looked too formal, too deliberately placed. The service began at 11 o'clock sharp, the way it always did. Vincent stood at the pulpit, welcomed everyone, called for the opening hymn. The congregation rose, singing, "Come, thou fount of every blessing," voices blending in that particular way Black church voices do, not perfect, but powerful, genuine. I stood in my usual spot, first pew, right side, next to Mother Jenkins, the oldest mother of the church. She was 87, sharp as a tack, and had known Vincent since he was a boy. She patted my hand during the second verse, the way she always did. "You all right, baby?" she whispered. "Yes, ma'am. Why?" "You look troubled." I wasn't. Not yet. But Mother Jenkins had a gift for sensing things before they fully manifested. After the hymn, Vincent began his sermon. He was preaching from Matthew 10:26. "There is nothing concealed that will not be disclosed, or hidden that will not be made known." A fitting text for Communion Sunday, about coming to the table with a clean heart, about confession and transparency before God. He was halfway through the message when I noticed her. A woman I'd never seen before, sitting in the mothers section, the row reserved for the senior mothers of the church. She was younger than the other women there, maybe late 40s, and she was dressed entirely in white. White dress, white hat with a small veil, white gloves, white shoes. In our church, you only wore all white for specific occasions. Women's Day, Nurses Guild Sunday, or if you were part of a special program. This was none of those. And she was sitting next to Mother Patricia, one of our founding mothers, like she belonged there. I leaned slightly toward Mother Jenkins. "Who is that woman in white?" Mother Jenkins followed my gaze. Her expression tightened. "I don't know her." That was unusual. Mother Jenkins knew everyone. If she didn't know this woman, the woman was either brand new or deliberately keeping a low profile. Vincent continued preaching, but I noticed his eyes kept drifting to the mothers section, to the woman in white. Not obviously, just quick glances. The kind you make when you're checking to see if someone is still there. The kind you make when you're nervous about who showed up. When Vincent called for the communion meditation, the ushers moved to the front to begin serving. The pianist played softly. The congregation settled into that reverent silence that accompanies the Lord's Supper. I closed my eyes, preparing my heart to receive communion. That's when I heard it. The sound of someone standing. Footsteps. Quiet, but deliberate. I opened my eyes. The woman in white was walking toward the altar. Not to receive communion, that wasn't how we did it. We served the congregation in their seats. She was walking directly to the altar table itself. Sister Morrison stopped playing. The ushers froze mid-motion. Vincent looked up from his prayer. "Sister, communion is served in your seat." But she didn't stop. She walked right up to the altar table, her white gloves bright against the dark wood, and she picked up the sealed envelope, the one marked "Private and Confidential," the one addressed to my husband. "Sister," Vincent said again, his voice strained, "that's private correspondence. Please return to your seat." She looked at him, just looked at him. And in that look, I saw something that made my stomach drop. Recognition. She knew him, and he knew her. Then she broke the red wax seal. The sound of it cracking echoed in the silent sanctuary. 250 people watching. Not a breath, not a movement. She pulled out what was inside, not a letter, a photograph. She held it up so Vincent could see it clearly. I couldn't see the image from where I sat, but I saw my husband's face change, saw the color drain from his brown skin, saw his mouth open slightly, then close, saw his hands grip the sides of the pulpit. "Do you want to tell them?" the woman in white said, her voice calm and clear. "Or should I?" I didn't understand then what that photograph showed, but I do now. The sanctuary erupted in whispers. Mother Jenkins grabbed my arm. The deacons moved toward the altar. The ushers didn't know whether to intervene or stay back. Vincent raised his hand. "Everyone, please remain calm." His voice was steady, but I heard the tremor underneath. This is a private matter that will be handled appropriately." "Private?" The woman in white laughed, not cruelly, just sadly. "It's been private for 16 years, Pastor. I think it's time for it to be public." 16 years. That number hit me like a fist. 16 years ago was the year before Vincent and I got married. The year he was serving as assistant pastor under his father. The year he told me he was ready to settle down, ready to be faithful, ready to build a life with me. "Sister," Deacon Williams approached her gently, "we're going to have to ask you to come to the church office so this can be discussed privately." "I tried private," she said. I sent letters. I called. I asked for meetings. I was ignored. So now we're doing it publicly. Right here. Right now. She turned to face the congregation. I could see her face clearly now. She was beautiful. Brown skin, high cheekbones, eyes that had seen too much. And she was trembling. But her voice was steady. My name is Celeste Morgan. 16 years ago, I was engaged to Pastor Vincent Crawford. We were planning a wedding. We had set a date. We had chosen the church. And then, 3 weeks before we were supposed to get married, he told me he'd met someone else. Someone who would be better for his ministry. Someone more suitable. She looked directly at me. Oh God. He broke our engagement, and within 6 months he was married to her. She pointed at me. And I was left to raise our daughter alone. The sanctuary exploded. People gasping, shouting, standing up. Mother Jenkins's grip on my arm tightened to the point of pain. Our daughter. Vincent had a daughter, a child, a whole human being he'd never told me about. I stood up, not because I knew what to do, just because I couldn't sit there anymore. Diane, Vincent started. Don't, I said. My voice was calm, eerily calm. Don't say my name right now. I looked at the woman in white, at Celeste. You have a daughter? We have a daughter, she corrected. Her name is Joy. She just turned 16, and she wants to meet her father. That's why I'm here. That's what's in this envelope. A letter from your daughter, Pastor Crawford, asking if you'd be willing to finally acknowledge her existence. Vincent's face had gone gray. He gripped the pulpit like it was the only thing keeping him upright. When was she born? I asked. The words came out before I could stop them. She was born 9 months after he broke our engagement, 2 months before he married you, Celeste said. I found out I was pregnant 2 weeks after he ended things. I tried to tell him. He wouldn't take my calls. When I finally showed up at the church, his father, the senior pastor at the time, told me it would be best if I went away quietly. That causing a scandal would hurt the church, that God would provide for me and my baby if I had faith. She laughed bitterly. So I had faith. I raised her alone. I worked 2 jobs. I kept quiet. And every year on her birthday, I'd send a letter here to the church, letting him know his daughter was alive and well and asking if he wanted to be part of her life. Every year, those letters went unanswered. 2 months before our wedding, that meant he knew Celeste was pregnant when he proposed to me, when he was planning our ceremony, when he was standing in front of the church declaring his love and commitment. He knew, and he said nothing. Mother Jenkins stood up beside me. Pastor Crawford, is what this woman is saying true? The sanctuary went silent, waiting, watching. Vincent opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. Yes, he finally whispered. It's true. 2 words. That's all it took to destroy 15 years. I sat back down. Not because I was accepting it, because my legs wouldn't hold me anymore. Deacon Williams stepped forward. I think we need to adjourn this service and reconvene in the church office. No. Mother Patricia stood up from the mothers section. She was 92 years old, a founding member of this church, and when she spoke, everyone listened. No. We're not hiding this. We're not going to the office to handle this privately. This man stood in this pulpit for 15 years, preaching about truth and righteousness while lying to his wife and denying his own child. We're going to deal with this right here, right now, in front of God and this congregation. She looked at Vincent. Pastor, you need to step down from that pulpit. Right now. Vincent didn't move at first. Then slowly, he stepped back from the pulpit, removed his robe, set it on the chair behind him, and he walked down from the platform. Celeste was still standing at the altar, the photograph in her white-gloved hand. She looked at me. I'm sorry. I didn't want it to be like this. But she's 16 now. She's asking questions. She wants to know why her father never wanted her, and I couldn't lie to her anymore. Where is she? I asked. Where is your daughter? Celeste turned slightly and nodded toward the back of the sanctuary. A girl stood up. 16 years old, brown skin, Vincent's eyes, Vincent's nose, Vincent's smile. Undeniable. She walked down the aisle slowly, her mother's white glove reaching out to take her hand when she reached the front. Together they stood there, mother and daughter, the family Vincent had denied. I looked at my husband. Did you know about the letters? He nodded, couldn't even speak anymore. All of them? Every year for 16 years? Another nod. And you never told me. I thought, his voice cracked. I thought if I ignored it, it would go away. I thought she'd give up. I thought you could erase her, I finished. Erase them both. Mother Patricia's voice cut through the silence. The deacon board will convene an emergency meeting tonight. Pastor Crawford, you are suspended from all ministerial duties effective immediately, pending a full investigation and disciplinary process. Vincent looked up, shocked. Mother Patricia, please. You will address me as Mother Patricia, and you will accept the consequences of your actions. Her voice was steel wrapped in velvet. You will also submit to whatever legal and financial obligations you have to this child you abandoned. And you will do it with humility and repentance, or you will not be welcome in this church again. She looked at me. First Lady Diane, you have our full support, whatever you need, whatever you decide. This church stands with you, not with the man who betrayed you. I nodded. Couldn't speak. Didn't trust my voice. Celeste approached me slowly. I know you have no reason to believe me, but I'm not here for revenge. I'm here because my daughter deserves to know her father, and because you deserve to know the truth. I looked at Joy. This beautiful 16-year-old girl who looked so much like Vincent, it physically hurt. Does she know? I asked. About me? She knows her father is married, Celeste said. She knows he has another life. She just wants to be acknowledged, to be seen. I looked at Joy, really looked at her, saw the hope in her eyes, the fear, the longing, and I made a decision. What's your favorite food? I asked her. She blinked, surprised. Ma'am? Your favorite food, what is it? My mama's spaghetti? Mine too. I tried to smile. It felt wrong on my face, but I tried. Your father, the word tasted like ash. Your father loves it when I make spaghetti on Sundays. Maybe you could come for dinner, next Sunday, if you want to. Celeste's eyes filled with tears. You don't have to. I'm not doing this for him, I said, looking at Vincent. I'm doing it for her. She didn't ask to be born into this mess. She didn't ask for a father who denied her. And she shouldn't be punished for his sins. I turned to the congregation, 250 faces staring at me, waiting to see what I would do, how I would react. I straightened my spine, lifted my chin. I need some time to process what I've learned today. I need time to pray, to think, to decide what my next steps are. My voice was steady, strong. But what I will not do is allow my husband's sins to be swept under the rug. What I will not do is participate in the continued erasure of this young woman's existence. She is Vincent's daughter, and she deserves to be treated with dignity and respect. I looked at Mother Patricia. I support the deacon board's decision to suspend Pastor Crawford. I also request that the church provide financial records showing any payments or support that were or were not provided to Celeste Morgan over the past 16 years. Deacon Williams nodded. We'll compile those records immediately. I gathered my Bible and my purse, looked at Vincent one more time. He was crying, silently, tears running down his face. I'm sorry, he whispered. Diane, I'm so sorry. I know you are, I said. But sorry doesn't undo 16 years of lies. Sorry doesn't give that child back the father she deserved. Sorry doesn't fix this. I walked out of that sanctuary with my head up, my faith shaken but not broken, my dignity intact. Behind me, I heard Mother Patricia's voice. Sister Morrison, please play It Is Well With My Soul. We're going to finish this communion service because God is still worthy of our worship even when his servants fail. The next few weeks were a blur. The deacon board conducted their investigation. They discovered that Vincent's father had indeed known about Joy from the beginning, that he'd offered Celeste a one-time payment of $5,000 to handle it quietly, that she'd refused, saying she didn't want money. She wanted Vincent to be a father. They discovered that every letter Celeste sent over 16 years had been received, read, and filed away in a locked cabinet in Vincent's office. 16 years of letters from his daughter, birthday cards, school photos, report cards, all hidden, all ignored. The church voted to remove Vincent from his pastoral position, not just suspended, removed. The vote was nearly unanimous. Only 3 people voted to keep him: his mother, his sister, and one deacon who'd been his college roommate. I filed for divorce, not out of spite, not out of anger, but because I couldn't stay married to a man who'd built our entire relationship on a foundation of lies. The sealed envelope, the one Celeste brought that Sunday, I asked to keep it. Inside was Joy's letter to her father. I read it late one night, alone in my living room, tears streaming down my face. "Dear Dad," it began. "I don't know if you'll ever read this, but Mom said I should write it anyway." She talked about her life, her hopes, her dreams. She talked about how she used to make up stories about why her father wasn't around, that he was a soldier, a missionary, someone important doing important things. She talked about how she'd finally asked her mother for the truth, and her mother had told her, "Your father made a choice, and that choice wasn't you." And at the end she wrote, "I'm not asking you to love me. I'm not even asking you to like me. I'm just asking you to see me, to acknowledge that I exist. That's all I've ever wanted. Just to be seen." I didn't understand then why that letter was sealed with red wax, why Celeste had brought it on Communion Sunday, why she'd worn white. But I do now. Red wax, the color of blood, of sacrifice, of covenant broken. Communion Sunday, the day we're supposed to examine ourselves, confess our sins, come clean before God. White, the color of righteousness, of truth revealed, of things brought into the light. It all meant something. It was all intentional. Celeste hadn't shown up randomly. She'd chosen that day, that moment, that symbol, to make sure Vincent couldn't hide anymore. 6 months after that Sunday, I had dinner with Celeste and Joy, not because I'd forgiven Vincent, but because Joy deserved to know that not everyone in her father's life would reject her. We ate spaghetti. We talked about school, about music, about life. And Joy asked me, "Do you hate me for existing?" "No, baby," I told her. "I could never hate you. You didn't do anything wrong. You're just a child who wanted her father. There's nothing wrong with that. But I ruined your marriage." "No. Your father ruined my marriage. The day he decided to lie. The day he decided to deny you. That's when it ended. You were just the truth that brought it to light." She cried. I held her. And Celeste watched with tears in her eyes, grateful that someone in Vincent's world had chosen kindness over bitterness. I'm not First Lady anymore. I don't sit in the front pew. I don't lead the Women's Missionary Society. But I'm still at Cornerstone Community Church, still serving, still worshiping. Because that church was my home long before Vincent became pastor. And I refuse to let his failures drive me away from my faith, my community, my God. Vincent moved away about a year after everything came out. Took a job at a small church in another state. He pays child support now. He calls Joy on her birthday. He's trying, I'm told, to build some kind of relationship with her. Too little, too late, but something. The sealed envelope sits on my dresser. I keep it as a reminder, not of betrayal, but of truth, of the fact that nothing stays hidden forever, that secrets have a way of surfacing, especially when they involve innocent people who deserve better. And the woman in white, Celeste, she still sends me a Christmas card every year, always in a white envelope, always with a photo of Joy, who's now a beautiful young woman in college, studying to be a social worker, wanting to help children who, like her, grew up without fathers. The first card she sent after that Sunday had a note inside. "Thank you for seeing her, for treating her like she mattered. You didn't have to, but you did, and she'll remember that forever." I keep those cards too, because they remind me that sometimes the woman in white isn't the villain. Sometimes she's the truth teller, the witness, the one brave enough to break the seal on what's been hidden for too long. Sometimes the woman in white is the answer to a prayer you didn't know you were praying. There's a verse in Luke 12:2 that says, "There is nothing concealed that will not be disclosed, or hidden that will not be made known." I used to think that verse was just about God seeing everything, knowing everything, a warning to the wicked that they can't hide from divine judgment. But now I understand it differently. It's not just about God seeing, it's about God revealing, about Him using ordinary people, like a woman in white with a sealed envelope, to bring truth into the light, not to destroy us, but to free us, to give us the chance to live in reality instead of comfortable lies. That Sunday, when the woman in white opened that sealed envelope, she didn't destroy my life. She freed me from living a lie. She freed Joy from living in the shadows. She forced Vincent to face what he'd done. And sometimes, freedom feels like destruction at first. But given time, given grace, given faith, it becomes resurrection. If you think that was the end of the woman in white files, it wasn't. Because 3 weeks after I filed for divorce, I received another sealed envelope. Different handwriting, different color wax, black this time, not red. And inside was a photograph that made me realize Vincent's daughter wasn't his only secret. There was something else, something darker. Something that involved the church's finances and a woman who'd been seen leaving the church office late at night wearing white scrubs, like she worked at the hospital but never seemed to have a shift that matched when she visited. That story, Woman in White, Files 002, you need to click it on your screen when you're ready. Because some secrets don't come alone. They come in patterns, and the woman in white? She had more to show me, more envelopes to open, more truths to reveal. If this story spoke to you, if you've ever had truth revealed in a moment that felt like destruction but became freedom, hit that like button. Drop a comment and let me know. Have you ever discovered a secret that changed everything you thought you knew? You don't have to share details. Just let me know you're here. Because your testimony might be exactly what another sister needs to hear today. And subscribe to this channel, because every week we're sharing stories from the Black Church. Stories about faith tested, truth revealed, and the courage it takes to choose reality over comfortable lies. This is Minister Diane Crawford, reminding you that sealed envelopes don't stay sealed forever. Truth has a way of breaking through. And when it does, you have a choice. Hide from it, or let it set you free. Be blessed, sisters. And remember, God sees what's hidden. And when He's ready to reveal it, He'll send exactly the right person at exactly the right time to break the seal.